There we go. Hey guys, still figuring out StreamYard here as a viable, as a viable service to use for podcasting, streaming, getting my ideas and thoughts out there, I guess. But hey, so we are here on the morning. I don't know what date it is. I just woke up. It's January. No, it's January 23rd. It's Tuesday morning, and the Oscar nominations were just announced for the 96th annual Variety. So almost 100 years now, Hollywood's been getting together to decide who they think gave the best performances, made the best movies, giving a pat on the back to each of the guilds. For people that appreciate the art, the craft, all that stuff, it's a nice time. It's a good time for a lot more than the self-important douchebags to be honored and to be featured in that town. But yeah, it's largely a big pat on the back for the people who already, have secure lives, make lots of money, are very successful, and then just, the artists there, part of the minority. There's very few genuine artists in that town, but from time to time they do get honored. And this year, kind of watching the run up to the Oscar nominations, it's like you got the feeling that okay, this year is a little different. This year feels like it's gonna be about how good the movies are because there's a lot to choose from. This is the last couple of years. I mean, just I mean, the fact that Damien Chazelle as an Oscar is kind of like it just really outlines how bad the last couple of years of Chloe Zhao winning Best Director. It's like whatever. I guess if you were around for almost 100 years, you're eventually going to put a silk hat on a pig, right? So it's fine. I did want to go through the list of nominees here. I'm gonna kind of shoot around the technical ones just because outside of a few here and there, I don't have that many opinions about like, oh, this one's got to get it for sound editing over that one. You know what I mean? But looking at the numbers first of all, give me 1 second here. Looking at the raw numbers of nominations. Let's take a look. So, okay, so we've got, let's go up here. All right, so we're just kind of going off the blurb here from this article, but we have Oppenheimer with 13 nominations. I mean, enough said. You don't really need to follow that up with anything. You've got Poor Things, which was one of my favorite movies of the year. Killers of the Flower Moon, my number one film of the year with 10. Barbie had 8. I know I saw Maestro had 7. It's very interesting, the narrative around those two movies, Barbie and Maestro. One was universally praised and lauded, loved, and the other was absolutely torn to shreds, especially on social media. It was interesting because I had a polar opposite experience. I hated Barbie. I thought it was a giant piece of shit. This corporate product masquerading as a feminist commentary, and it's just like it's not. It's like it's so clearly not what that is. And of course women fell for it. It's just like it's like one of those things where it's like, it's fine. I'm really trying not to get into political bullshit, but it's just like there are good women out there and there are stupid women out there, just like there are good men out there and there's stupid men out there. But like society seems to produce more stupid women. I don't know what it is. And again, this is just most of my friends are women, by the way. So it's just like, you know what I mean? It's like, okay, that's fine. And then Maestro was just, look, I'm not gonna say it's a masterpiece or it's even a great film, because I do think that there are some clumsy aspects to it. But I mean, if you can't watch that movie and tell that Bradley Cooper deeply cares and is deeply invested in bringing the story to life, which, you know, you can even criticize him for not crafting a more even-handed portrayal of Leonard Bernstein. You know, that's fine. But the artistry, the vision, the hair and the makeup, the the detail of that movie is almost undeniable. It's almost just like, okay, you don't know anything then. That's fine. No, it's fine. It's you know what I mean? But you know, you see that crane shot of them standing on the balcony in their whatever Cape Cod house, that scene between him and Maya Hawke, you know, where he has to hold on to the secret that he told his wife that he wouldn't tell, you know, the just downright the drag out dogfight between Bradley Cooper and Kerrigan. Just the you could feel the daggers going in. You could feel the betrayal. You can feel that pain, you know, and just so few films really ever get there, from a year to year basis, much less, you know, much less a, um, you know, in the history of movies. It's worth celebrating. It's worth noticing when it's there, you know, and so many of those things. And yeah, sure, is Cooper, you know, framing him perfectly in the camera with the cigarette lit and the, you know, the prosthetics and the nasally, you know, the nasally delivery, and I love all of that. All of that stuff is very what is called actory. It's very theatrical. It's very, you know, look at me without being too obvious about looking at me, you know. So, but again, I like that stuff. So, and if you hate Bradley Cooper, I'm sure it's enough ammunition to sort of like, you know, to just disregard him and his movie. But at the end of the day, it's like, okay, it's relax, you know, try to see the movie for what it is, try to see what it is ultimately communicating. But, you know, Maestro ultimately ends up with one less nomination than Barbie. Barbie has 2 song nominations. So it's like, you know, I look at it that way. Um, Look, I think at the end of the day, you know, Bradley Cooper is going to keep making movies. He's going to keep being interested in bringing these stories alive. Look, I have no problem with him. You know, people seem to have a real agenda. I don't know what that is. I don't know if that has to do with like his relationship thing, where, you know, his ex-girlfriend has said some shit about him, and so I don't know if it's feminist Twitter or feminism coming after him or whatever for being, you know, whatever, quote unquote predatory or whatever. So it's it's kind of nonsensical at this point. But I think the guy has talent. I like to Star is Born. I did like Maestro. Um, so I'm glad it got those 7 nominations. Taking a look here though at, let me get the screen back up here. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and start here. Um, I guess we can start at the bottom. You know, I don't want to cut anything short, but documentary short. Haven't seen them. Don't really have an opinion. Kind of don't care. Best documentary feature. Um, so again, I'm not going to have much to add here because documentaries, at least in their modern version, are very political, are very ideologically driven. Um, Young people seem to have this misconception that documentaries are somehow not movies, or they're more real than movies. It's like, no, it's just another form. It's just another way to make a movie. And whereas they used to be much more about education, it's much more about having a perspective, having a point of view. And it's like, if you're going to do that, then make a movie, then make a feature. You know what I mean? Because it just, I don't know. There's something about it that's frankly pretentious. Oh, this is more real. And it's like, go fuck yourself, please. Seriously, you're an idiot. It's a fucking movie. Having said that, I don't think I've seen any of these. I've heard good things about 20 Days in Mariupol, but again, I can't really speak to it. Best live action short. I just kind of hope Wes Anderson doesn't win for The Wonderful Story of Henry Sugar. Best animated short, name, just no clue. Best animated feature. So Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse made it, which it's fun to trash this movie just because the hyperbole around it is so ridiculous. But it's not. I wouldn't call it okay. That's not, I'm trying to remember my review now. I mean, I probably was a little harder on it. But it's the way that this is being treated like one of the greatest movies of all time is kind of just beyond laughable. Not to mention that the hero himself is kind of a weak little bitch boy who sacrifices every single universe in existence to save his father. And somebody who is very I'm very open to that kind of story in the sense of father son connections. It's like there's a million ways you could have done it better without being a little nihilistic shitbird. But that's fine. That's in right now. I just I want to lament for a second here. I know we're doing the Oscars, but I just want to lament for a second. Like nihilism, they used to do it so much better. It's like nihilism wasn't the point. It was that we live in a world where that's the default because that's how you don't get hurt. That's how you don't get caught up in, manipulations and fucked up scenarios. But everybody's a child now. So you don't have that like adult version of nihilism. It's this like little, oh God, it's this little like teenage infantile, like smaller than niche bullshit. And it's like, okay, fine. And it's at the end of the day, it's a fucking cartoon. So I hope The Boy and the Heron win. I know that made a lot of people's best of the year period. And I should know the guy's name who made it. I think I'm not even going to try to pronounce that, but I think it starts with an M. But yes. So yeah, I hope The Boy and the Heron wins ultimately for best animated feature, best international feature. Here we go again with this. This is a rehash of 2019. Okay, so Parasite ended up winning Best Picture in 2019. It shouldn't have. It was an international movie. It was from another country. Okay, and I'm not saying that like they can't, but I kind of am. Like I actually am of the belief that international movies should not be eligible for Best Picture. It's not about you, okay? And by the way, Parasite, you have half a fucking hemisphere. You have half a fucking hemisphere, okay? We don't need you. You have your own side of the world, literally, okay? So and I always say this whenever Asian representation gets brought up. It's like, okay, you have half the world. Oh yeah, and you have half the world's population. Shut up. You're only over here because it's less competitive. No, I'm just joking. But it's so, and that's fine. Anatomy of a Fall, I've heard good things about. I probably should have seen it at this point, and I will. I'll see it before the Oscar ceremony, but it's like, we have best international feature for a reason. So like, let's try to remember that. The Zone of Interest also being in there is kind of like, why? It's Jonathan Glazer. That's best international? Really? Excuse me. That's insane. I've heard really good things about Society of Snow. I will try to check it out before the ceremony. Best visual effects. So my podcasting group was kind of up in arms. Not up in arms, like they don't care that much. But Godzilla -1, this is their only Oscar nomination. And, okay. It's a fucking monster movie. All right, so good for them. You got your best visual effects nomination. It probably won't win or might. I don't fucking know. The technical categories are a crapshoot a lot of the time. I mean, really. So, but yeah, good for them. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 was terrible. Napoleon was, Mission Impossible was pretty good. The creator was just dog shit. So, best sound. I'm glad Maestro here got a nod. Oppenheimer. Best makeup and hairstyling. Once again, Maestro and Oppenheimer, I think, are going to duel this one out. Poor Things had a lot of wonderful costume, set, production design aspects to it. So not surprised that it got a nod there. Best costume design, Killers of the Flower Moon, Napoleon, Oppenheimer, Poor Things, Barbie. Best production design. So production design is actually one of the most important aspects to the visual creation of atmosphere and tone and mood of a movie. Killers of the Flower Moon, Napoleon, Oppenheimer, Poor Things, all pretty worthy of this. Barbie is there because of the art direction. Oh, hey, it's pink and artificial. Somehow that's good. Best editing, we're looking at, again, how you shape film. This is one of the most important technical categories, really, that never gets enough attention, truly. But there are 5 excellent films. Again, I have not seen Anatomy of a Fall, but yeah, I definitely want to. And yeah, but I can certainly go to bat for the other 4 of these, as they are part of my top 10 of the year. So hey, look at me. Best original song, all I can really hope here is that Killers of the Flower Moon or, something else beats Barbie, because it's just frankly annoying and stupid. Best original score, I mean, this is Oppenheimer's to lose. Göransson, I mean, this is one of the best scores that I probably have ever heard in a movie, which I know sounds incredibly hyperbolic, but that is the star of that movie. I know that everybody wants to talk about Cillian Murphy or Christopher Nolan, the cinematography, and all of it is excellent, but it's Göransson's score that truly brings everything together and makes it a potential masterpiece of filmmaking. I mean, it's exceptional what he does, and the emotions that he brings to the surface of, frankly, a pretty cold movie, all things considered. Best cinematography, um, this is kind of interesting to me. I believe the same cinematographer did Killers of the Flower Moon and Barbie. Killers of the Flower Moon gets the nod. Maestro, Oppenheimer, Poor Things, all incredibly beautifully well structured, artistically dynamic films. It is what it is. It's, when you've seen movies enough, like, you just know what excellent cinematography is. I mean, there are we still have this conversation about digital cinematography, and it's like, okay, yes, it is possible. However, you still have to have a grounded understanding of, filmmaking principles, framing, things like that, to, for it to matter ultimately. So I don't know. Sometimes I wonder what people are even looking at, to the point where, it ends up just, it becomes irrelevant. You know what I mean? So yeah, and I guess I'm getting comments in. I don't even know if my I don't even know if this is going anywhere, because I was checking my my Twitter and my YouTube, and it wasn't showing up. So give me a quick second here while I still figure out my first live stream. I'm going on 20 minutes, so that's not bad. But yeah, I'm still figuring out the, the nuts and bolts of streaming, and making sure I do everything right, and basically letting the software do the heavy lifting for me. But yeah, because I have no idea where my stream is showing up right now. So, but I should have. Okay, well, we will get it figured out. But let's continue with the nominations here. All right. So here we go. We're kind of into the major ones, the major award nominations. Best adapted screenplay. Really, no surprises here. American Fiction, Barbie, Oppenheimer, Poor Things, The Zone of Interest. I think that Oppenheimer will probably win, just because, kind of looking at the rest of the field, I don't. Poor Things is interesting, but I'm kind of surprised Killers of the Flower Moon did not get in for Eric Roth's screenplay. But you can have only one genocide movie in the adapted screenplay category, right? Anyway, no. Best original screenplay, we've got Anatomy of a Fall, The Holdovers, Maestro, May, December, and Past Lives. Yeah, I think this is the holdovers to lose. Alexander Payne didn't write the script, but I think assisted on it. And really, one of the big surprises of the year was how good that movie was. I had to watch it a second time to realize just how good. And I think probably it's gonna take it in that category. I mean, I'd like to see Maestro win. I do think it's worthy of its nomination, but I think The Holdovers is just a better movie. Best director. So this is a category that has gotten some people, I don't know, performatively upset on Twitter. So this has been a competitive year. This has been incredibly dynamic, especially for filmmaking in the director category. So Nolan and Scorsese were always going to get these. So that leaves 3 spots. Lanthimos, great job with Poor Things. Jonathan Glazer, he was my wild dark horse, like that he was going to be the one to sneak in, and he did. It doesn't come out here until February 1st, so I have some time yet before I can see the Zone of Interest. Anatomy of a Fall. As again, I need to see this to kind of give my perspective. But look, you got your female director. Okay. So be quiet. The idea that you need to nominate a woman because you can is maybe the most insulting and embarrassing thing that you could do as a feminist or someone supporting women. See, the only way that you're ever going to get a foothold in this conversation or debate is by just being better than men. You weren't. Okay? Barbie does not even belong in the top 20 of the best films of 2023. Okay? It was a poorly made, poorly constructed, frivolous, nonsensical, fantastical piece of shit. Okay? It was literally a profile for women to whine about how hard it is to be a woman and what that entails. Yes, never taking responsibility for anything. That whole America Ferrera rant, that whole thing, it's just literally, it's a woman refusing to take responsibility and accountability for her own choices and actions. Yeah, you will always be criticized for what you do, regardless. Welcome to what it means to be a man, you dumb fucking bitch. You know what I mean? It's like you have no fucking perspective whatsoever trying to sell that fucking turd sandwich. You know what I mean? And let me just take a small digression here. Okay. I loved Greta Gerwig. Loved her. Okay. Probably because she reminds me of my ex-girlfriend. But fine. Loved her as an actress. Loved her. She was my post Zoe Deschanel. It's sad. It's a little sad, but no, it's fine. I loved her. I loved her in Greenberg. I loved her in Frances Ha. Even loved her in that terrible movie where she sleeps with Al Pacino. You know what I mean? Like that movie, Ty West movie, House of the Devil, where she gets murdered, in like the first half hour. What happened, Greta? You used to be so brilliant and wonderful, and you decided to sell out and become a Hollywood director of mediocre films, your husband, Noah Baumbach, should know better. Literally, letting you out of the house like that. It's just disappointing. Little Women was not good, and neither was Lady Bird, and Barbie was a giant piece of shit. So, yeah, she didn't deserve to get a Best Director nomination. It's arguable that she deserved it in 2019. But everybody being all uppity about the fact that, oh my God, there was so many wonder, and it's like, no, I'm trying to think, what's her name? I'm gonna really fuck up the Asian names now, where it's like, okay, it's not Brenda Song, it's not Greta Lee, it's not, who's the bitch that directed Past Lives? You know what I mean? But see, this is what you do. You do this to yourselves, guys. You do this to yourselves. You put these people on a pedestal of Asian, female, bisexual, trans, lesbian, and that's what you decide. Thank you, Celine Song. That's what you decide to do. That's you put these fucking people on a pedestal and say that, but they're not good. Like, you're elevating people that are mediocre, that give performances and produce movies that do not belong in the categories you're trying to force them into. And this is the problem with forced representational bullshit. It doesn't add up to anything other than celebrating mediocrity. You know what I mean? And it's not like that does nobody any favors. It doesn't make the industry better or the art form better. It actually, elevates tokenism. You know what I mean? And so, no, good on the Academy for actually giving the best director nominees to people that deserved it, and I'm saying that only having seen 3 of the 5 movies, but among all the other critics, among all the other people I've talked to, Jonathan Glazer and Justine Triet deserve their director nominations. You know what I mean? And Alexander Payne, by the way, Alexander Payne got snubbed in this category. Holdovers is easily one of the 5 best directed movies of the last year. And he just nowhere on there. Okay. I mean, I thought he easily deserved it. But it was a very competitive year. So when people like Alexander Payne miss out on it, it's like, dude, Greta Gerwig's an afterthought. Think about the other people who, Bradley Cooper could have gotten in for Maestro easily. But again, very competitive, very tough category. It is what it is. There's a lot. As happy as I am with the nominations overall, it's like there are still things that I like that irk me or irritate me. Like, here we are, best supporting actor. Ryan Gosling actually did it. He actually got a best supporting actor nomination for Barbie. Whatever. I'm fine with the rest of the category. Robert Downey Jr. and Robert De Niro are incredible. Mark Ruffalo is fucking hilarious in his off English accent thing that he's doing. And I haven't seen American Fiction, but I've heard good things about it. It just, that was a tough category too, best supporting actor. But I'm happy the 2 Roberts got it. I kind of think that De Niro probably edges out Downey, in my own personal opinion, but I think Downey is probably the hands-on favorite to win on Oscar night, just like he's been for the entire award season. Best supporting actress, Emily Blunt here is probably my pick. I like Divine Joy Randolph in The Holdovers. I think she's very good. She has a really heartbreaking story with her son, and she does an amazing job. She was on The Idol earlier this year, a show I really liked, which got just trashed by critics. But she's great in that too. So I'm not surprised that she's here with best supporting actress nod. Jodie Foster, Nyad, didn't see it. America Ferrera, this is pretty embarrassing for the Academy. There's really an entire list of nominees that I prefer to see here, but it is what it is. I don't think she has any chance of winning. I think it's probably going to go to Randolph, if not Emily Blunt. Emily Blunt, she is the glue that holds Oppenheimer together, and not the movie, but the man, and she has some incredible scenes in that movie. Just truly, like, and not standing on a soapbox, but like these big elevated moments of she picks him up at his worst to get him to refocus on what truly matters. She confronts his enemies at every turn. It's saying, I know what you are. I can see you. And it's like, this year has been an incredible year for ferocious but understand, truly ferocious, truly powerful, truly disciplined and principled women. Great women characters. This is the year, guys. Like, for all your fucking Twitter virtue signaling bullshit, this is the year to be like, great female performances, and Emily Blunt gave an incredible performance. The way you know in that in that room during the investigation, where she just will not accept the bullshit being laid out by Jason Clarke. And at the end, when she gives that unbelievably cold stare to Benny Safdie at the White House, and it's just, she's amazing. She's an incredible, she creates this profile of this incredible woman who has been through an amazing amount of life, has all this life experience, is kind of a terrible mother. And I mean, she comes back to it, but it's like she is not this flowery, feminine rose. It's like she is this real, living, breathing human being who's flawed, who has issues. But guess what? When it matters, when the rubber meets the road, she's there for her husband. She's there for her family. She's what she needs to be. And I just absolutely loved her performance. She probably won't win. It'll probably go to Randolph. But as somebody who's never really been an Emily Blunt fan, she really won me over with this performance. Best actor, I'm a little irked that DiCaprio didn't get it. But again, a very competitive field like 2019 in the best actor category. Cooper, Domingo, Giamatti, Murphy, right? Yeah, it's, again, you have Bradley Cooper, you have Paul Giamatti, and Cillian Murphy. I mean, I think those three are probably your front runners. And really, it's down to Murphy and Giamatti. And look, I was there in 2004, 2005, when Paul Giamatti didn't even get a fucking Academy Award nomination for Sideways for playing Miles. And I've always thought that it was one of the biggest snubs in Oscar history. I mean, it's such a brilliant performance of self-loathing and, I mean, comedic self-loathing, but just this character. He's so sad. He's so unbelievably broken. And I absolutely I've always loved him as a character. This really does feel like his moment to shine. Unfortunately, I just think Cillian Murphy is the odds-on favorite to win. I think he gave the absolute best performance in 2023, embodied a character and brought him to life that really people kind of only knew about on the page, didn't, saw in interviews and things, but really didn't have a great understanding of who he was, what he did, what he went through. Oh my God. And all of that weight on his shoulders. You can see it. You can see it in his face. You can see it in his eyes. And, Cillian Murphy has made such a transformation that, I forget he's the guy from 28 Days Later. It's like, oh yeah, that guy. Yeah. So, it's great. It's great to come back and be like that. That's the wonderful thing about acting and art and performance and, that thing, the prestige about, you don't want to know, you want to be fooled. And it's true in the sense of being a movie lover. It's, you want to believe, you want to buy into it, because we all want that. It's just, when you see enough movies, you can recognize what's done well and what's done poorly. And Cillian Murphy, did such an unbelievable job of transforming himself into Robert Oppenheimer. Sorry, J. Robert Oppenheimer, that it's almost unbelievable. This is the same. It was the Scarecrow in Batman Begins, and so it's kind of incredible. And seeing him work with Christopher Nolan all this time, and it's just great to see him, have a culminating performance that sums up his career. Moving on to Best Actress. I don't know what the hell Nyad is, but the fact that it has Annette Bening and Jodie Foster, I assume it's some lesbian drama. But yeah, I'll have to check that out at some point. Lily Gladstone. Talking about great female performances, Lily Gladstone was a revelation. This is one of the best performances, hands down. I don't care, woman, man, whatever. This is one of the best performances of the last 30 years. It's one of the best performances of the last 30 years. This is an unbelievable profile. Um, Lily Gladstone deserves this. Sorry. And this is not coming from some self-righteous, like pro Native American, like pro, like leftist bullshit stand. No, she was incredible. She completely transformed into Molly Burkhart. The language, the culture, her quiet demeanor, her peaceful, soulful presence. And it never becomes, you know, it's never angelic. It's never deified. It's never we are the honorable people of the soil. Ha, ha, ha. Yeah, thing. It's like, it's not. It's treated in the most human way, in a way with respect and honor and a belief in culture, a belief that, you know, through all our trials, through all our shit, good and bad, self-imposed and not, we're still here. We're still here through it all. People of the land, whatever, and the shit she goes through, up to and including a shot, right? I like how nobody picked up on this, but beside me, by the way. They want to give her insulin shots, but they've put like poison in it or whatever, or at least it's intimated that that's the case. Gee, what is the population in really all around the world been kind of going through the last couple years with a shot, whether you should get it or not? Huh? That's weird. Hey, you see the parallels now, dipshit? No, no, but it's like, yeah, she stood steadfast in what she believed and what she knew in her bone, in her gut. And despite being targeted, despite being poisoned, she's still there. And that's one of the hardest things to do, is to show somebody that is technically a victim of something, but their character not written that way. They refuse to lay down. They refuse to die. Their example is by their own life. You know what I mean? Like their defiance is it still being there, still fighting through all the bullshit and all the machinations, So, and all of that is summed up in her performance. And that one scene where, she's wailing, it's just like that has haunted me since I've seen it. And it's a performance that honestly leaves you speechless. It's that good. It is that incredibly well performed and executed by Lily Gladstone, who, by the way, I had to kind of like look her up. She's literally in a movie, a Kelly Reichardt movie that I've been avoiding for years. And now I'm trying to remember what it's called. It's like something women with Kristen Stewart, and I don't know. It's not 20th Century Women, because I get that confused with Kelly Reichardt, but that's like I think a guy did that. I don't remember. Anyway, but like she's been around for a while. I had no idea who she was, and she gives one of the best performances I think I've ever seen in Killers of the Flower Moon. Sandra Hüller, Anatomy of a Fall. Haven't seen it yet. Carey Mulligan and Maestro. She's incredible. She absolutely deserves that nomination. That is one of the more heartbreaking performances of the year as well, for different reasons, where you love somebody and you convince yourself you're okay with all the hang-ups and infidelity and lies and little slights, and that makes it all the more painful. That makes it all the more haunting. that she comes to terms with all of that on screen with the camera on her face, deeply in character, perfectly affecting that kind of crackly delivery of kind of. I won't call it New England, but it's almost like a mid-Atlantic female accent, almost like a Cary Grant, but a woman. She's phenomenal. She's the emotions that he relays, the pain, the heartbreak, her, like I said, her drag out fights with Bradley Cooper, arguments, and then her, her having to say goodbye. I mean, it's probably one of Carey Mulligan's best performances, and I'm so happy she came back to reality with this performance, because 20 was it Promising Young Woman was such a piece of shit. It was so awful, and so was She Said. I mean, those were embarrassing movies. They were embarrassing choices for her to make. But I've loved Carey Mulligan since Shame, and in Education. She's great in Drive. I even really like her in Baz Luhrmann's The Great Gatsby. So, I kind of have a crush on Carey Mulligan. But it was just, yeah, it was hard just to see her make those choices the last couple of years. I still haven't seen her. Um, I still haven't seen her shit, Netflix movie called The Dig with Ralph Fiennes. Just because it seems incredibly boring. Like, why would I want to watch that? Mudbound wasn't bad. She was pretty good in that. But again, it's been hit and misses the last couple of years for her. Um, so, and Emma Stone. Emma Stone was so fucking good in Poor Things. I mean, she was so funny. I'll go ahead and say it, because there seems to be some weird aversion to the movie that it's like, it's a fucking movie, guys. Can we please get over it? Thank you. Like, I just want to say this right now. Look, I understand where social conservatives are right now, and I try not to get political, especially on my movie shit. But not everything is degenerate, okay? Some things are just silly and fantastical, and like, yes, it's an adult fantasy movie. Yes, Emma Stone learns about the world through fucking. Oh, but she has the brain of a baby, not when she literally leaves the fucking house. Not like you can obviously she's developed past that level, and yes, is as much of a whatever fully formed adult as one could be in a science fiction Frankenstein like knockoff thing. You know what I mean? It's like, this is not apples to apples to the real world, dude. Like, it's a fantasy, you know. But she's so funny. She's in her way sexy. She's dynamic. She is unbelievable in that movie. And I can't underscore how funny it is. It's so, I don't think she'll win, but certainly a worthy nomination for Emma Stone. And I think she absolutely knocked it out of the park. All right, here we go. Best Picture. So, not a whole lot of surprises here. Past Lives getting in is kind of annoying. But it is what it is. They have the option to do 10. Yep, got 10 even. So, I mean, this is Oppenheimer's to lose. It feels a lot like 2019, though, where Anatomy of a Fall is kind of hovering. I just don't think that it has a chance. I think Oppenheimer takes it. I think Oppenheimer probably wins 6, 7 Academy Awards when it's all said and done. I think they have Best Picture, Best Director, Best Picture, Best Director, Best Supporting Actor, Best Adapted Screenplay. Hold on. Yeah. Probably win cinematography, probably win score. Might even win editing. So, I mean, we might be looking at 8. So, but yeah, I think Oppenheimer does well. I would really love Killers of the Flower Moon to come out and surprise some people, but it just doesn't have the legs this award season. So unless, Apple throws a shitload of money at it in terms of promoting it, I don't think it's going to happen. It's just, it didn't have nearly the same amount of exposure, and Hollywood loves nothing more than patting themselves on the back for something that makes money and, you know, that makes money and wins awards. You know what I mean? They love that shit. It just can't be lowbrow enough. You know what I mean? So they're very weird. It's like they're some of the most pretentious, elitist fucking people around, and yet while they make movies for like the masses, the people that are nothing like them, you know what I mean? And this was true, I guess, in Shakespeare's time as well. Where an artist, the thing about artists throughout time, it's like they were rich people. This is the thing. It's like your entire life you've been gravitating towards this thing, and it's like literature, the theater, movies, all this shit, right? For the most part, it's been rich people. That's so like you have this perspective that you want to like be a creator, be an artist, whatever, and it's like good luck to you. Like literally good luck. Good luck sucking up to people who fucking hate you. So that's it, guys. That is the 96th Annual Academy Award nominations announcement. So somehow I've been talking for 50 minutes, but and I wish my thoughts were a little bit more organized, but you can tell that I do live stream on a podcast fairly regularly. And by the way, that is the Barroom Podcast on Tuesday nights at 9:00 Eastern, and we do Friday movie nights. Some nights we review movies, new movies. Other nights we just watch them. Usually that's done on Rumble though, not YouTube, because you get copyright flagged. But they get posted on Twitter as well. So check those out. The channel is Society Reviews. That is my friend of the show, if I can say that. Jacob runs that, and has a bunch of guests on to talk about, the Barroom is a bunch of like pop culture topics for the most part, and then on Friday nights we usually do movie stuff. So check that out. I think that we're doing like there's going to be a Royal Rumble stream on Saturday. If you guys are interested in that, that's going to be on the Rumble page. So again, go over to Twitter, follow Society Movies and Society Reviews, as well as myself at Rob_Motto. Trying to do more of this stuff. I love movies. I just haven't had the setup to do it. Now that I do, we'll see. But thank you all for coming into my first live stream, my new setup. Hopefully it's going to be a more regular thing. Hopefully I'll have guests on, next time, whatever. But until next time, you guys have a good one. Okay. Bye-bye.